This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so welcome everybody. Town Council meeting, first official meeting online. Thursday, April the 9th. I'll call the meeting to order. And Lindsay, you have the record of attendance. Everyone's on. No absent with regrets. Declaration of conflict of interest, anyone? And you can certainly declare at the time of the item on the agenda. Approval of agenda, additions and deletions. So I have 3 additions so far. Jim?
I was just going to make sure that we had the Heritage Committee recommendation.
So that's number 1. The Heritage Committee recommendation is 11A as an addition. 11B is voting list. 11C is taxis. Is there anything else anybody wanted to add or delete?
Your Worship, I'd like to add a letter of condolence, please.
Okay.
And the other thing is you said Mark is on there, engineer's on the phone?
Sure is.
Is he going to be here for the whole meeting? Because I might do it under questions for committee chairs. I got a question for him.
Yep. You're good, Mark, for a bit.
I can stay as long as you want.
Okay, good stuff. Thank you for that. All right. Thanks, Deputy. Anybody else? Okay, so I'm looking for a motion to approve with the additions.
So moved.
Second.
Councillor Berry, Councillor McLeod. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, approval of minutes. Town Council, March 12th, 2020.
So moved.
Councillor
Second
Berry. Councillor Berry, 2, 1 and 2. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Committee of the Whole, March 25th, please.
So moved. So moved.
Okay, moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Contrary? Motion carried. Town Council, March 25th, 2020.
It says
So
in
moved.
camera, Your Worship, is that all on the agenda?
Not yet. Next one.
All right.
So
Okay.
moved.
Okay, moved.
Seconded.
Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? Motion carried. And the in-camera one, do you have a question on that, Councillor Hood?
No, I just frankly misread the agenda. I thought it was just, I'm okay.
Okay, so the Town Council, March 25th in-camera meeting, please.
Seconded.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Wait, I can't see you anymore, you know. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've noticed that. I'm having some problems with my computer. I apologize.
Oh, no problem. I can hear you and I can see WC. So somewhere at the bottom, there's a little camera thing. Town Council, April 2nd, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and
Second.
seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Contrary? Motion carried. Thanks, folks. Okay, so new
Your
business.
Worship, if I might, I think the public should know that there is a record of each of those meetings
Mhm.
in the town's, on the town's website. And although we go through that very quickly, there's some substance to the meetings, and if anyone wanted to pick up more detail, they could go to our website and find it. I think I'm correct on that.
Yep, absolutely. Every set of minutes, every council meeting, everything's on there at the Town of Yarmouth website. Okay, new business, airport agreement extension. CAO, do you want to take that?
Sure. This is, I'll give a little backstory to this. So we go back to March 31st last year, and our airport agreement it come to an expiry. 3 municipalities extended it more than once to try to get an agreement, which we were unsuccessful in doing. In the fall, we got into the process, or I guess it was late summer, we got into the process of discussing consolidation. And at that point, myself and my municipal colleagues put aside the work on intermunicipal agreements, feeling that there was a pretty good likelihood that we would end up as one municipality and all of these agreements would be nullified. Well, we know how that turned out. Earlier this year, that process came to an end without any consolidation. And so we've begun work on intermunicipal agreements again. And lo and behold, now we have COVID-19 and there are other things that have been occupying much of our time. But we have met this way and discussed the airport and have jointly committed that we will get an agreement done by the end of this month. And we've talked about the kind of time frame, like a 2-year time frame, because we feel that given the times that we're in and not knowing how long this will last and not knowing exactly what things are going to look like on the other end, that probably 2 years is sufficient. And we'll revisit everything at that time when sort of the dust clears and we know what casualties we have from our current pandemic. So what we would want, Your Worship, today would, if it's your pleasure, would be to pass a motion to extend our airport agreement till the end of April. And what that would allow us to do would be continue to provide some money to the airport for operation under the existing agreement. And with the understanding that by April 30th, we will have a new agreement. I hope to have it for you for the committee of the whole meeting in 2 weeks for consideration.
Well, Your Worship, if you'll permit me, I'll move that recommendation of the CAO be accepted and approved by council.
I'll second
Okay.
that.
Moved, second by Councillor Cleveland. Any more discussion on that, anyone?
Question.
Okay, questions called. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Public participate. Good, Jeff, on that one?
Yes, so I apologize to council for not having information out ahead of time on these. It's been a fairly unusual time, and I don't like to put you in a position of hearing about something, being asked to make a decision on the fly. So this one does not require immediate action, but I want to talk about a few things related to our current situation. And well, one of the first casualties frankly in our community.
Sorry, Jeff. Lindsay, can you mute everybody except Jeff and me? Thank you. Okay, good.
So one of the first casualties in our community was our local newspaper. As everyone's aware, the Vanguard is no longer published, and I guess the dominant newspaper that's circulated in our area is the Chronicle Herald. For bylaw amendments, other than planning documents or subdivision bylaw, the Act says that notification between first and second reading is required to be published in a newspaper circulating in the area. Now, there is a subsection 5, that allows a council to, as an alternative to publishing advertising in the newspaper, to do so either on local television or radio. And so, Your Worship, I would like council to consider directing staff to draft a policy whereby we would be able to advertise in a local newspaper, radio, or television as per that section.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So you want that in a motion?
A motion to direct staff to draft that policy.
So
Okay.
moved.
Okay, Councillor Don. Who wants to second that?
Second.
You guys are you're all muted, just so you know. You have to unmute because it's too noisy.
Second. Second.
Your Worship, I
Seconded.
have to step back on this one as it's a conflict of interest, so I'll stay out of this.
Yeah, good,
Sorry,
thank
Wade,
you.
I should have warned you, Wade, sorry.
Okay. Any discussion on this one?
Question.
Yeah, you gotta
What?
unmute. Lindsay, unmute
Hello.
Cliff.
It says a newspaper circulated in the area, and we're lawyers, Greg. I always interpreted that to mean it could be the Chronicle or could be the Vanguard. Doesn't have to be the Vanguard or any other local, quote unquote, paper. It's one that isn't that what the language says?
Greg is
Greg?
muted. There he
There
is.
he goes.
Yeah, sorry, I done unmute myself there. Yeah, sorry, I didn't get a chance to look at this before the meeting. I did mention to Jeff that I've noticed recently in the Clear Chopper that there's foreclosure notices in there. So I don't know if that's an alternative or not. You know, I can certainly look at the wording and see that might be an alternate to radio or some other form. So, but I would have to look at it.
So Greg, but I think it would be effective and comply with the act if we advertised it in the Chronicle Herald. That's all I'm trying to get through.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree that you could advertise in the Chronicle Herald. I think Jeff was just concerned about the cost maybe of it. Was it, Jeff? Or
It's two things. It's one, it's the cost, and secondly is, you know, the Chronicle Herald is a provincial paper, and, you know, the vast majority of people who receive it are not, you know, concerned with Town of Yarmouth bylaws. So I was looking for something, A, a little more affordable, and B, a little more market specific. And since the act does provide some flexibility in terms of where we advertise, I'm not saying we wouldn't advertise in the newspaper, just asking council to consider policy that would allow us to use television or radio as alternatives.
Well, I'll just pick up on that. About a week ago, the Chronicle, when it announced that it was going to temporarily discontinue the publication, who knows how temporary that'll be, but they made a plea to try and save an independent press in Nova Scotia and paper newspaper, and that's the Chronicle Herald. And they asked us to encourage anyone that could do so to find a way to advertise in that paper so that they can survive, even if we can't have a local Vanguard. I just want to pass that on because it was expressed by the Chronicle and that, and I'll leave it at that. That's all I have to say.
Jeff, maybe the idea, to Cliff's point, maybe the idea is to see what the cost would be. Because the Vanguard is going through, they are going through Saltwire. So it's, I think it's just to look at the cost. But we need to develop the policy regardless, I think. Especially for this. Okay, so what do you say, folks? Anybody else want to speak to that one? So Jeff's looking for a motion.
Giving Jeff the flexibility. I just want to be clear that we are not foreclosed from advertising in the Chronicle Herald.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
So that's all we're looking for is direction to draft a policy. This isn't your final word on it. We'll come back with a draft policy that you can give it further thought and look at the wording we come up with and decide if it's to your liking.
Thank you, Your Worship. That's all I have.
Question.
Okay, I didn't get a motion yet.
Oh, you didn't get a motion?
Yeah.
So moved.
Motion is, I thought I moved it.
It
Oh,
was
okay.
moved and seconded.
Okay.
Jeff and Pam, I'm having trouble. I can't, I'm having,
Jim Lockhart.
Jim, you okay?
Lockhart.
He's
Good, Jim?
pixelated. He's pixelated.
Calm me down.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Hero Initiative. Wade, do you want to take that one?
Oh, sorry, Your Worship.
Go
I
ahead.
had something else under that same agenda item.
Okay.
So if I may,
Yes.
So further in the act, when it talks about the adoption of non-planning or subdivision bylaws, once a bylaw is passed, it is required to be advertised in a newspaper. And so these next couple of points I'm going to raise are for your consideration for things we may ask the minister to consider amending in the act to give us more flexibility. So the first one is that once a bylaw is passed, a non-planning bylaw, that it can only be advertised, or the notice goes out only in a newspaper. You can notify through other means under the act as you're doing it, but when it's finalized, it has to be a newspaper. So I was going to ask you to consider whether or not you would want the same flexibility at the end of the process as you have during the process as far as notifying the public. That's point number one. Point number two is that in the act, planning documents such as your municipal planning strategy, land use bylaw, and your subdivision bylaw are all exempted from that flexibility. And so that's the next point is maybe they should not be exempted from that flexibility, given that many small towns in rural or Nova Scotia have lost their local newspaper. And the third point, and I guess the final point, is that we are under the current situation, we're permitted to have meetings such as we're having tonight. The record that the minister has ordered be made of these meetings are that the minutes need to be posted on our municipal website. So the question around this matter around notification around bylaw amendments is, could it not be that we would publish the notifications on our municipal website in addition to, as an option, in addition to the radio, television, or newspaper requirement? Could it not be that under certain circumstances that would be sufficient notification with the same timelines, the 2 weeks notice, rather than having us go to the expense to publish in outside or external media sources? We've had a municipal website for the town for 20 years. We've had our agendas and documents there for 15, and we've had streaming of our meetings for the last 10. So I'm just thinking that these may be things that we want to ask the minister to consider as possible updates for this section of the GA.
So
Okay.
I need to speak to the NSFM.
Hold it. We got to start one at a time. Wade. Go ahead,
Just
Wade.
thank you, Your Worship. For my money, it just makes sense. Many of these different requirements, they're for notification, but they're also old. They're old rules, not really taking into account the power or the influence that social media and online media has on us at this point. And it's a completely different world from when it was required that we posted in a newspaper. And that was many, many years ago. These days, more people are looking at our Facebook page than are looking in any newspaper. And so, to be honest with you, I don't know what the ramifications are on a provincial level or a bylaw level are, but if you want your message out there, that's certainly how you do it. You put it on our website, you put it on our Facebook page, and it's done. But whether the provincial minister or the NSFM feel the same way, I don't know. But to me, that's just common sense for the days we're living in.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, Cliff, you were going to speak, and then Jim.
Well,
We have a
it's
motion.
legislation. You're dealing with legislation, so you need a legislative amendment. And it would seem to me if you're going to go down that road, and you're just suggesting that, and he's right, I think, a lot of rural municipalities, it should be on. That should be a priority for the Scotia Federation, Your Worship. I think.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a legislative amendment just on our motion. I'll tell you.
No, but we can. It's a letter. I would also ask for a letter to go to NSFM, and then we get it on. Cliff. Okay,
I'm good.
Jim, and then Don.
I want to support wholeheartedly what Wade has said. It's time to get into the right age, and I want to support Jeff's recommendations. And when it comes time to make a motion, if he needs a motion, one of us will make it.
I think we've
Thank
already
you.
got a motion on the table, haven't we?
Don? Don, you're on.
I'm just looking, is there a motion on the table and is there a seconder? And then on the question part, I would like to say that I wholeheartedly support what Wade is saying and that it's time we started moving in that direction. So let's get a motion and a seconder and then we can talk on the question.
Okay, Jim, did you want to make that motion?
So moved, Your Worship.
Okay, seconder?
I'll
Second.
second it.
Okay. Any further discussion, anyone? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Anything else, Jeff? On that
Not on
one?
that one. Not on that one. Thank you.
I will say that one of the next things I am going to tackle is the public participation meetings through NSFM to the province, but it's simple and it isn't. Okay, so we've got the HERO initiative, and that would be Wade. You're up.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. This is something stolen directly from the municipality of Shelburne. And it's a great idea for what we're going through right now. First off, while I have the floor again, and I've said it 100 times, if not more, congratulations to Councillor Barry and what he's doing with the Y-Town quarantine challenge, which is going on Facebook. With everything that's going on right now, I mean, we're dealing with a lot. We are all, as people, dealing with so much stress, so much pressure, sometimes downright panic when it comes to it. And here we are heading into Easter weekend, and it's going to be an Easter unlike any that we've ever experienced before, and perhaps ever again for this kind of thing. So what the municipality of the District of Shelburne have done, and it's just another effort to kind of get enthusiasm and community spirit out there. I'm going to read this directly off of their Facebook page, but it says, and I quote, "The municipality of Shelburne wants to show appreciation and highlight the positive things people are doing and support local businesses during this challenging time. We understand the importance of social support and being a part of bringing the community together. To do this, we launched the Community Heroes Initiative. If there's an individual, family, or group in Shelburne County, in this instance, that you consider a hero, all you have to do is nominate them and their name will be entered into a draw for a gift certificate from a local business. Prizes for each category will be done on a weekly basis. Winners will be announced, so it's just a draw. But here's what it is. It's to outline and to show what people in our community are doing. And so what you're nominated in is different, let me see here, it's different kinds of categories. So there's essential service frontline workers, there's a community spirit one, and a vitality endurance one. So for people who are doing things in the community in this time of need, and so they have a recognition program. And I really think we should do something similar. Now, this is done, not to put Frank Grant on the spot because he's not here, but this particular one is done through the Recreation Department in Shelburne. And I would really like it if we did something similar. Perhaps Frank and I could come up with something, or Councillor Steve, if you wanted to help with it, I'd love that too, or anyone for that matter. But I think it's something we should be doing right now, along with the other initiatives we're doing. Your Worship, what you're doing right now with the coloring. My granddaughter is so excited to make you a picture. It's unbelievable. And these kind of things help in these particular times, if for nothing else than to keep people's minds off what's going on a little bit and to put a spotlight on people who are working their way through this.
Yeah, so what's the
Can I
next step?
speak?
Certainly can.
I'd just like to say I think you also do a great job on the radio, Wade, your whole crew. Every day I listen in, and it's always positive talk about what's going in and around. So kudos to you guys. And we have over 1,800 people on that Y-Town quarantine challenge, and it keeps growing every day. And I think what Pan did with the kids, as you said, is great too. So I'm on the board 100% with this, Wade. Anything I can do to support or make it happen, count me in.
All right.
So you guys just want to take that and run with it?
Yeah, no motions necessary, really. I just wanted to let you know and to make sure you guys all support it.
Yo, yeah, I support it. 1000%.
Okay,
It all matters.
thank you.
Right.
Jeff?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say if you want the rec department involved to help with that, I think it's a good idea to get a motion on the books.
Okay,
Yeah,
think we
because of
could
the rec
handle it.
department, yes. Okay, so Wade, you're making that motion to,
with the help of Recreation, the Department of Recreation, to start up a Yarmouth Area Heroes Initiative project.
okay, who wants to second it?
Second.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on that?
Well,
All
now
those
that you're
in
making
favor?
it.
Whoops, go ahead,
Worship,
Cliff.
now that you're making it a motion, I hate to say this, but would you start picking winners and losers? You got to be prepared to deal with the losers too.
You're not picking winners or losers, you're making draws. All the people
No,
are
you're
being,
picking all winners. Wade, it's all winners. The other people
right.
that don't get nominated are losers.
no, I don't agree.
Well, I know, but you know, it's,
That if that's
yeah.
the case, we shouldn't do anything ever. That's just the wrong attitude. I'm sorry, it's just the wrong attitude.
I was around when we had the Mayflower Awards, and there was a fair number of people who didn't think they were treated right. So,
Well, I think that's why I did it the way I did for the White Town Quarantine Challenge, whereas you just get a ballot for participating and we do it a draw. And then
Yeah.
that way no one's hard feelings because we pick this one over that one. You get your name in the hat for participating, and then we do a draw, and winners are just by draws. It is what it is.
but that's,
Yeah.
see, that's a random pick, and I like that. I do.
That's what,
I mean,
That's what
with
this
That's what we're
you
speaking.
know,
That's
due
what this
respect,
is.
you got to pick winners and losers. You're picking people who are chosen to be honored, so to speak. And you're going to be into the who is it, and you know the comparisons to, and why not this one and why not that one. I have concern about that.
so if anybody says, why didn't so-and-so get nominated, then they need to have nominated them. Right?
I was going to make the comments. I'll probably support the motion. I'm just.
Hey, Wade, yeah, go ahead, Wade, we couldn't hear you.
Okay, sorry about that. Too many buttons. It's a nomination process, so people are sending in nominations, and the only thing we will do is make a draw out of those nominations and spotlight that way. And it'll be done weekly.
All right, so you're going to do a draw.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that. All right. Okay.
Good?
All right.
Okay, any further discussion, anyone? All
Question.
those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thanks, folks. Okay, reports. Council Advisory, Committee of the Whole, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I believe after the last committee of the whole, we passed the only two motions that were required for that day at a special council meeting.
We did, because I don't have the sheet, so.
Right. I think
You
one
are
was
very,
for the grants to organizations to be moved, and the other one was for the screener.
you are very efficient, Deputy, I have to say.
I spent the last 10 minutes looking forward to, Your Worship.
Citizen Advisory Committees, Planning Advisory, there was nothing there. Councillor Jim?
No, nothing, Your Worship. You can confirm that, Jeff. Nothing there, yeah.
Okay. Good. Reports were okay. So questions for committee chair. So Deputy, I'll start with you because you may have had one for Mark, did you say?
Yeah, one for the engineer, maybe Jeff. I was on another conference call last night with our MLA and the Minister of Education, and he's kind of relaying the message that once they do things for some of the businesses and some of the individuals with this relief packages because of the virus, they are going to be ready to announce some shovel-ready projects, infrastructure-wise, probably this summer. So I'm just wondering, I know Mark, I saw the list that Jeff passed out here last week and the week before, what Mark and Demario have been working on, but I just wonder if Mark's got anything in the hopper that he could drop at a minute's notice to maybe one of our departments in the provincial government.
I know Jeff got me going on one today, which is an extension of the Glebe sewer separation to separate storm and sanitary from Maine up to Pleasant, and we can get that one designed real fast and get that one shovel ready.
Okay, as long as, Mark, I know I got all the confidence in you after what I've seen that last list that you provided us. And as long as we have something that's ready and your worship, you're going to be at the front of the line when these announcements are made. So
Yeah.
let's see something and make sure we're the first in line.
Sounds
That's
good.
your motion, Philip?
I don't know if I don't know if we need a motion for that, do we? I don't think.
Doesn't
We just
hurt.
need to be having conversations. Jeff?
Your worship,
Jeff,
I
go-
lost my audio through what the deputy mayor was saying there, but
Jeff, the
I'm
only thing
sorry.
I said was I was in on a conference call last night with the Minister of Education, and he said probably this summer that the provincial government is going to be getting some shovel-ready infrastructure projects ready. And I just asked Mark if we had anything in the hopper, and he said he could provide something. So that's the only thing I was asking.
okay. So there were a few things that I relayed. I'd heard similar rumblings earlier today, so I asked Mark to consider a few different things. One is how ready are we for the Parade Street sewer separation to go up from Main and Parade, Parade Street to extend that. I've asked him to look at the next phase of the ferry terminal and get some sort of estimate around that. And as well as you're aware, and we'll talk about later, there's a YMCA need that is upon us.
We don't need a motion for that, do we, Jack?
No, that's just business as usual to be looking ahead and to be getting projects ready. So if an opportunity arises, then we'll come back to council and it'll really be your choice which ones we prioritize and advance for funding.
Good, I'm good. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you. Anything else? Questions for committee chairs, anyone? Okay, we have additions. So the Heritage Committee recommendation, who wants to take that?
Your Worship, I'll move that we approve the application for the certificate of appropriateness for 57 William Street as filed. And I'd like to thank Janet Watson, our acting heritage coordinator, for the work she's done over the last couple of days. She pulled this together pretty quick by contacting all the board members, getting them the information, and everybody getting their response back to her. So I'd like to thank Janet for a job well done.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Anyone?
Question, Your Worship.
Okay. Questions called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Carried. Thank you for that one. Voting list. I don't know who put that one on, but go ahead there, CAO.
So, Your Worship, this year is an election year. As things stand right now, I know there's some discussion at NSFM about how and if that will take place given the current state of emergency and pandemic. Nonetheless, we have to soldier on until we're told otherwise. So one of the things that council's asked to decide is whether or not to use the provincial voters list as our voters list. And that is always the case, that we take that list and then we update it. Some years we've enumerated, given the current circumstances. Our returning officer is advising that we not enumerate, but that we take the provincial voters list, which to my understanding is continuing to receive updates. And by the time we get it early summer, it will be fairly good, and the returning officer will have minimal work to do. And keep in mind as well that we updated that list last year when we had a by-election, so it should be fairly reliable. So looking for a motion to use the provincial voters list for the 2020 election.
I'll make
So
that
moved.
motion.
Okay, second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any more discussion on that one? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Thank you. And yeah, the letter is into the minister with regard to the election. Are we going to do it in October or not? So hoping to hear back in the next couple of weeks on that one. Taxis. I think that's might be a police question. We've got an awful lot of folks reporting that taxis are people picking people up, taking them to stores, doing their shopping, and coming home.
Yeah.
So maybe it may not have should have been added here. Maybe I should just call our chief and see what that answer is. I think the answer is no. You can get them to pick up your groceries and drop them at the door. It's the same with anybody that doesn't live in your home, not permitted to pick you up and bring you shopping. You are only permitted to send somebody out for your groceries. Does that make sense? So I'm trying to figure out the taxi piece because they're running. There's a need for them, but not perhaps in the manner that they're being used right now.
Is that a question, Your Worship, for our bylaw enforcement officer to look at the state of emergency regulations and how they parallel with with what we do for the taxi bylaw? Maybe our bylaw enforcement officer should be in contact with the taxi drivers, taxi owners.
It's for the police.
Or the
Your Worship.
police, yeah.
It's a police-
well,
It's a police question?
I think so. It's provincial
Jeff, what do you-
legislation.
Yeah.
So who's
Yeah.
going to look into that? Jeff?
So if you make the motion to have staff look into it, what I will do is I'll refer it to the staff sergeant at the RCMP. And I will also advise him that we do have a bylaw enforcement officer who is in charge of taxi inspection, has the list of all the licensed drivers. And so the two of them together can determine what the rules are, and we have the contacts for the RCMP to use to follow up.
So I'm making a motion for you to look into it.
Thank you.
I second that.
Seconded. Any more discussion?
Yeah, quickly, I would think that Russell would be well within his jurisdiction to call and warn the taxi drivers that we have registered with us. But in terms of actual enforcement, I'm quite sure, unless Greg tells me otherwise, that it's under that legislation, it's for the RCMP to lay any actual charges.
Yeah, you're right. They would write the tickets because it's not social distancing.
It would be good to have Russell make a call and inform the current people as to what we think the law is and how they should comply with it.
Yep, I agree. So
I
Jeff,
think-
we'll make sure.
I think
make
it's
sure we-
important, Pam, I think it's important that we look into what the law is first before that's why I'm suggesting that Jeff would look into seeing what the law is right now and then moving forward before we're sending anything out.
Yeah,
It's not an
absolutely.
essential service. The mayor laid it out correctly. I know what the law says. I've read it. I've spent the time. The mayor's got it right.
Okay, so let's do the motion because it's on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Okay. Motion carried. So just, Jeff, when you get that official, we know what the answer is, but officially from the RCMP, then Russell can contact the taxi drivers and just say stop, or they're gonna get a ticket.
Perfect.
Probably are now anyway, but okay. All right, Dee, condolence. You're on, deputy.
Oh, condolences. Thank you, Your Worship. I would like to make a motion that the town of Yarmouth send a letter of condolence to the family of the late Honorable George Snow. He was an MLA from 1963 until 1964. He was a true gentleman and a pillar of the community. Port Maitland was his home. I know a lot of work he's done, even in his later years, when he wasn't feeling 100% with the Port Maitland Cemetery Association or Society. And George is probably, there's not many left, Cliff, I don't think, from that 1963 group. And I know there's probably Dr. Ben would be the youngest from the 1966 group, but George was a true gentleman. So I'd just like to send a letter of condolences to Susan, Roddy, and Howard, and Lindsay will get you the address for that, okay?
I
I
second.
second. Okay, Cliff, you go ahead.
I second the
Further
motion. You gotta have
discussion?
one. You gotta have one Tory on here.
Cliff, I voted for
You know what?
George. He was,
Guess what? And I voted for Zach.
You
We're even.
That's right.
You
That's
could
right.
split them up, Jim. You could split them up them days, couldn't you?
I did.
Yeah, it was exciting.
Did you tell Rocky what you did?
No, of course not.
Okay, good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary? Motion carried. Okay, so that is the, okay, approval of invoices, please. I signed the checks today, so Phil and I did.
So moved.
Okay.
Yep.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Contrary? We're good. Okay, date of next meeting. Got that, Linz?
Linz.
May 12th? No, May 14th?
Yeah.
Okay, May the 14th for the next meeting. Are we good now, Jeff? Anything else here? Because we're gonna go in camera.
No, nothing else, Your Worship.
Okay, and who do we need in camera?
If you're going to talk about the YMCA, that's why Mark is with us.
Okay.
I'd suggest he's.
That first then.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so Mark, you hang tight. Can everybody else go?
Mike can go.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike.
you can, good night. Thanks, bye.
Worship,
I'll make
we
a
gotta,
motion we go in camera, Your Worship.
Thank you.